So what are we doing with strategy group?
This is on the see, let me see how many.
Alright, good afternoon, everybody. Call this meeting to order, and this will be the St. George City Council regular meeting agenda, November 26, 2024, 5 p.m. at St. George City Hall. As always, we will stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start the meeting, I want to recognize that we have a special guest here with us this evening, Miss Addison Bonaventure, Troop 76 from Geismar, Life Scout working on Eagle Scout. Is that correct? Well, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. We didn't embarrass you, did we? We didn't make you sing, put up the same song. Thanks for being here. We're here every second and fourth Tuesday of the month if you ever want to come back.
If you want a job.
All right, roll call. Councilman Edmonds.
Here.
Councilman Cook.
Here.
Councilman Himmel.
Here.
Councilman Monticello.
Here.
Councilman Heck.
Here.
Everybody's in attendance. We have a quorum. First thing, approval of minutes of the November 12th, 2024 council meeting. Council members, you all have received these minutes. Council?
Motion approved.
Motion to approve the minutes of Councilman Himmel. Second moved by Monticello. Any opposition to the approval of the minutes? Seeing none, minutes are approved. Normally, our representatives from IPTS will be here to give us a report from our last meeting. They are both out of town today for Thanksgiving, so we will have a little bit more of an extended report from them at our December 10th meeting. Met with all of them yesterday. Everything is still going very well. Flowing like it should, and I haven't heard a whole lot of hiccups. So we'll get a full extended report from them on December 10th. Under introductions, number one under introduction, ordinance to amend 2024 general fund budget and to provide for related matters. These introductions are ordinances for public hearing on Tuesday, December 10th. And the second introduction to that meeting will be an ordinance to amend section 201 of Title I relative to planning and zoning, commission meetings, and to provide for related matters by Council Member Edmonds. All right, on to new business. First item on the new business, an ordinance to enact Chapter 4 relative to geophysical and seismographic surveys, Section 510, 511 relative to mobile home placement, and Chapter 7 relative to permanent generators, and to amend Section 252 relative to adjudication of violations in Appendix A relative to fees of Title 8 and to provide for related matters. Sherry, would you like to give us a little rundown before we open up the public comment?
Sure. These are just picking up still ordinances that we need to complete our code of ordinances, and these are related to the permits that are being issued by IETS. We also have an amendment, it's right behind the ordinance in your book, which will delete some fees that we previously adopted. Therefore, off-site drainage assessment fees. Those are fees that are charged in Central. We don't have the capacity to do that type of work yet, so we're going to remove those from our fee schedule.
All right, thank you, Sherry. At this time, I'll open up this item to public comments. If anybody would like to say anything on this particular item, I received no emails, received no cards on the item. If so wish to speak, now's your time. Seeing none, close the public hearing at this time. Council.
I have a question. The amendment, removing the fee schedule, we're not requiring them to do this stuff. Can we just leave it there so when we get there, they'll be in place?
So this is, these fees for off-site drainage assessment, the city of Central has a program that they developed, and then their engineers operate the program, and developers pay the cost. We don't have access to that program. If we did, acquire such, then we could put in an appropriate ordinance. We don't have an ordinance.
So we may or may not ever go to that, and this is specific.
It's specific to floodplain. It was something they developed after the 2016 flood.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended, if anybody else has comments.
Got a motion by Heck to approve as amended.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Cook. Is there any opposition to this? Seeing none, the ordinance is approved. Item number 2 under new business, resolution to request the Metropolitan Council for the consolidated government of the city of Baton Rouge and the parish of East Baton Rouge to create a home rule charter commission and to provide for related matters. Councilman Heck, would you like to talk on this item or
You want
first?
public hearing, or you
We
want
can do the public hearing first. It's up to you.
I'll explain the item. We can have a public hearing if anyone would like to comment on it. So we just went through our city charter commission. It was a very great process. I think everyone involved in it was very pleased with the meetings themselves, the group, and the work product of that committee. As part of that process, I kind of, I learned a lot in it as well, and I think that the city parish could absolutely use this same tool that we did to kind of revisit the business model of the consolidated form of government. There's been talk of deconsolidating that. There's been talk of consolidating public safety. All those conversations can be had in a non-political environment in a city charter commission. It's very difficult to have those conversations in the newspaper and in a live city council meeting. So I'd like them to consider calling, we recall we just had a vote where we were trying to change upwards of 40 to 50 items, I want to say, in the plan of government, and it failed. It failed very, it clearly failed. I don't believe that document is probably changeable or editable. This would start the process of looking at a brand new document. And in that brand new document is where you get a diverse group of stakeholders in the room, and they can begin crafting a business plan for the future. I think now that St. George is created, Zachary is a growing community, Central is a growing community, Baker has its own unique issues as well. The days of the city parish, I could see from a business organization standpoint that it needs to be broken apart. There are many things that the city parish controls over the other municipalities, whereas they're really only speaking on behalf of the city now, and it's a huge cut. I spoke with some representatives of Zachary this morning. They're looking to place something very similar on their agenda, requesting that the city parish call this plan of government city charter commission as well, and we can all get in there. They'll get to decide who's on it, but I'd love it if maybe a couple council folks or St. George folks, the mayor, and that's what it needs to look like. That's their choice. I'd ask that our council members approve this, and we'll open the public hearing.
All right, I'll open this item up for a public hearing at this time. If anybody would like to speak on this particular item, now's your time. I'm seeing none. We'll close the public hearing at this time. other council members would like to speak on this resolution?
I would,
Go ahead, Steve.
I'd like to, thank Ryan for bringing this up. I think this is a good example of the city of St. George wanting to remain an integral part of East Agnes Parish. We got something good going, we think everyone want to share it with the rest of the parish. It's up to them whether they want to do it, but this is our way of offering them an out maybe to where they can see what we do well. We want to share it with them, everything that we do that makes us a better city. So, and we want to remain a part of this parish. So, good job, Ryan. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay.
I like it a lot, Ryan, thank you. I think it's past time, we've been asked this question a lot for years, what's the next step to explore this? And I think it's a good idea, I hope the Metro Council considers it. I like that all 5 cities, it says in here specifically, have representation on it, which is good, as well as the unincorporated areas. Come to the table, I thought the Charter Commission meetings were really productive, because we could talk, we could hash out. We had disagreements, we didn't all get along, but we came to agreement, we voted, and that's the way that it works. But I think this is great, and I definitely support it.
Ryan, really, just like everyone, this is a great idea. It's something that shows that St. George, we start looking at our city parish, and we look at St. George. Obviously, we all say one word, it's change, that we want to change. And that's why we're sitting here today with our new city. But when we start dealing with our parish, we even start, when we talk about Baton Rouge, there's a lot of change that needs to go on within the city and within our parish. And so when you bring in good government, like we did with the Charter Commission, which Brian and Patty steered the way to do that, we're moving in the right direction with St. George, but we also need our parish to do so. So we are calling on our Metro Councilmen in our districts that are within St. George that support our parish to act on this resolution and meet as a group. Let's come together and let's make our parish better. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Heck,
Second.
second by Councilman Cook. Any opposition to this resolution? Seeing none, resolution passes. Next item, a resolution to establish a committee relating to the position of city manager, including developing job criteria, procedures for conducting a search, making recommendations regarding the hiring of the city manager, and to provide for related matters. Councilman Heck, is your item, want to say a few words on that?
This one's basically exactly what the text says. So one of the, kind of the founding principles of St. George was that we would have a really good city manager. That was the outcome of the City Charter Commission. Regardless, I believe, of whether or not it passes, which we expect to pass it, there most likely be a city manager position created by ordinance by this council. This process would just be the initial step. I can envision this taking, 3, 6, 9 months. And so if we just go by kind of a timeline, our political elections will be in the end of March, and those folks will take office, I want to say July 1st, is that correct? July 1st, so that basically gives us 6 months. So it's time to start this process. Ideally, I would love it if this new city manager probably started 30 days before the elected council were to come in, just so they could have a 1 month head start. But they'll be hired when they get hired, and this is the process to start that. They'll be define the criteria in which they are. There could be executive search firms that are hired. We got to go out there and get the best person. This is the initial process to start that. Thank you. We got to go.
we'll open up this item for public hearing, if anybody would like to speak on this item. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at this time, council.
I have a question, Dustin. So we're gonna create it tonight. You will then come up with a list of folks that you have. How are you gonna do this? How do you?
The first thing we'll do is appoint the chair and vice chair, similar to what we've done in the past for other commissions. And then we'll work with the chair and vice chair, will probably come from this council. That way we have somebody, that represents the council, that is part of the process, very similar to what we did with the Humboldt Charter. And then we will get some stakeholders in the community, very similar to what we did with the Humboldt Charter Commission. Specifically people that have a level of expertise in what it is that we would be looking for as a city manager. It's kind of what Ryan alluded to. It is a unique position in the state of Louisiana. So that's why we feel it's important to start the process now of developing with this criteria, with the job description, job criteria, procedures for conducting a search, all these different things, because it is something a little bit unique to the state of Louisiana. But that's how the process will fold out. So tonight is just simply having a resolution establishing a working committee for the sole purpose of selection or recommendation and selection for the city manager.
I would also just like to say as well as, we are the beacons for change in St. George. That's why we're here. That's why we've been here the last several months. For where we're moving and what direction we're moving with our parish and with our new city. And we don't have time to wait. Things are moving fast. Look, I'm excited about December 7th vote in just 2 weeks. That finally we're going to vote. We're going to pass this 2%. We don't have to sit and wait and try to bargain at a table and not hear anything back. Like we were reading in the newspapers and all the stress and frustration that they're putting our mayor through with the city, trying to come up with some sort of budgetary amount. Come December 7th, change will happen. We will have a 2% funding in St. George, and it's time to lead the way. Although we're going to be young and maybe like the little eagle thrown out the nest and the mama watching us fly away, well, we're going to be able to soar. We're going to lead the way. Let's be the leader of the parish and not let anyone else do so. So we need to move forward with the city manager, have that thing established so when our new council is elected and put in place in July, he's ready to roll. So great job, Ryan. Thank you again for your resolution.
Y'all don't have to. Please don't.
Can we clap?
Hey, I can put 50 on there in this meeting.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Edmonds, second by Councilman Himmel. Is there any opposition to this resolution? Hearing none, resolution passed. All right, on to some announcements, things that are coming up, scheduled. Next week, Wednesday, December 2nd, we have our Board of Adjustments meeting, which I think is the first time the Board of Adjustments has met, correct? So first time the Board of Adjustments will meet for the City of St. George. That'll be followed directly by our Planning and Zoning meeting thereafter at 6 p.m. Drew, I believe the Transition District also moved to next Wednesday?
That's correct.
That is correct. So next Wednesday at 4:30?
Correct.
Next Wednesday at 4:30, the Transition District will also meet as well. The most important date that we have on here is Saturday, December 7th. That's election day to authorize our 2% sales and use tax. And I'll make just a few comments on this. So I've said it from the very beginning, this isn't a new tax, it's not a tax increase. This is the transfer of taxing authority from East Baton Rouge Parish to the City of St. George. This is critical. This is critical to providing services to the City of St. George. This is an opportunity for everybody in St. George to come out and redirect your sales tax dollars to be kept here to provide for those critical services. People have made several comments on, well, why don't you wait, why don't you do this? Understand this too, that when the tax passes on December 7th, the tax doesn't go into effect December 8th. Okay? It passes December 7th, it doesn't go into effect April, right? And then we have to wait another 2 months, because that's how long it takes for sales tax events to come in. Correct, Sherry? There's about a 2-month lag. So we pass this on the 7th, we don't actually start receiving the sales tax dollars until June. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time. There's never been a better time. Once again, October of 2019, people showed up and they voted because they wanted a new city. All right? That was the most important vote in the history of St. George at that point. Well, here is the most important vote in the history of St. George. That first vote doesn't mean anything until the second vote comes in and solidifies our funding mechanism. We've told you from the very beginning, we don't want to raise your taxes, and we're not going to raise your taxes. Okay? All this is simply doing is transferring that 2-cent sales tax away from East Baton Rouge Parish and right here to the city of St. George. Okay? That's all it is, and there's nothing more than that. If you have any questions about that, my phone number is 504-606-7378. That's my personal cell phone. Call me, text me, let me know. Okay, you need me to come talk to a group between now and then, I'm here. Any of these council people will show up as well. Okay? Don't let this vote pass. Voting is the most fundamental part of democracy. It's one of the most fundamental things that we believe in St. George. So much so that we filled out a petition, not once, but twice, for people to show up and vote. Don't let that opportunity pass you by. Okay? We still have a few days left of early voting. I believe early voting is tomorrow. And then there's no early voting Thursday and Friday. Early voting on Saturday. Once Saturday is passed, early voting will wrap up. Excuse me. There's no more early voting after this next Saturday. After that, it's election day on December 7th. Very, very, very important day in our parish. Show up. Have your vote counted for. See a couple voting stickers in the crowd. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay? So once again, do you have any questions, issues, concerns about the 2-cent election coming up? Give me a call. We'll talk it out. I can guarantee you at the end of it, you go, you know what? I need to vote yes. And that's exactly what everybody inside the city of St. George needs to do. So after December 7th and all that is settled, then we have some other things to do for the rest of the year. So December 10th at 4:30, we'll have a public hearing on our amendment to our general fund budget. We said when we introduced our budget, I believe in July, August, whatever month it was, that this obviously will be a document that will change quite a bit over the course of our first year. So we will have a public hearing to amend that budget. So this will be directly prior to our council meeting. And then directly following that public hearing, we will commence with our last council meeting for the year, December 10th. So we will not meet on Christmas Eve. Sorry for all of y'all that wanted to come here to City Hall on Christmas Eve. We won't be here. So December 10th will be our last meeting at 5 p.m. On that Tuesday. We will reconvene as a council in the beginning of January. And then the last date that we have on here is Saturday, March 29th. So March 29th, as Ryan alluded to earlier, this is election day for St. George elected officials and to authorize the adoption of the proposed home rule charter. So that will be the second biggest vote in St. George history after December 7th, after we get past that. So a few reminders, and this is mainly for our council folks and myself. December 31st is the deadline for ethics training. It's on your agenda. There's a link to follow. If you've never done it before, please do so before the end of the year. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I can guide you through it. And the deadline for preventing sexual harassment training is also there. There's also a link available online that you can access that training. Once you finish, a certificate will pop up, and make a copy of the certificate and forward it to Lorraine, so everybody is good to go. So that's everything that I have. That's on the agenda today. So, council?
If you don't do the training, can you get reelected?
Get fined.
You get fined, so don't try it.
And if I had your money, I wouldn't.
I cleared an ethics fine to take this appointment. I'm gonna leave the ethics fine back on there, so I don't run again. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Hill.
No, sorry.
Second by Councilman Himmel. Anybody opposed to that?
Happy
Seeing none.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.